The Egyptian onions. The onion is mainly produced in Egypt as one of the most or third important product after the citrus and potatoes. This is one of the most necessary products in every household and every country, and everyone in the world will consume onion on a daily basis. Uh, switch. In Egypt, we produce it in three loops. Three loops. One is in the winter, one in the summer, one on indigo, or it's called the العروة النيلية بالعربي. The most important one is the winter loop, where we produce the most abundant products, or we also export the most of them. Basically, the onion goes through multiple industries, either as a raw product or as processed product. We have from onion peels, we get a products that is used in antioxidant activity or antimicrobial protection from inflammation, anti-diabetic properties. Also have protection from cardiovascular diseases and hepatoprotective activities. From the PESTEL analysis, we have from political view, the third most exported product is important for the country for the maintaining the trade balance, and also from the economic, we have a very excess from the product that we are trying to export and to other countries. On the social level, it is important to farmers. They are usually binding it with cotton, either in one ourselves or each other. Also, the onion products basically is a low cost for production. However, it's also have a relatively low yield also, because the field might cost up to 10,000 on average, and will yield 20,000 Egyptian pounds if it goes on. From the technological factor, we have multiple enhancements on the technology level to expand the product, such as the advanced aggregation technologies, basically controlling the water, or having sensor enabled fields that can measure the different biomarkers on the field, whether it is have needs of water, have needs of antibacterial or حشرية. Insects materials. It's also, as I said, in environmental, it is most important to balance the fields between other products and other crops that are being done. However, on the legal aspect, we have vague laws or regulations that impose limitations on the Egyptian product to be exported to the other countries, such as the case that happened with Saudi Arabia, which banned the import of the Egyptian onions due to the limit of insecticides being over the limit. So, as a government, we on the legal or regulation base, we need to enhance these laws and implement them on the field, so that people can produce more products that are up to standard with exporting markets, and so that we can go through it. After that, we continue to the market overview with Ahmed.
We will talk about market overview. In Egypt, we have a worldwide market share for about 3.47 in exportation. But in production, we are we the third in the third place in production. But in exportation, we are number 10 by 3.47 with 133 millions. We can find in exportation Netherlands is number 1, and India and China. In Egypt, we annually produce for about 3 million tons. in 200,000 per day. In exportations, we are for about 133 millions. In export volume, we are for about 15% from production. Countries we are exporting onions, we can find UK and Saudi Arabia and Netherlands, Russia, we can find it. We can talk about Saudi Arabia and Dubai. There is a problem here. Dubai getting their onions from India for about 44 million from India. India is cheaper in producing, in exporting than Egypt. Plus Kuwait getting onions for about 6 million from 6 million onions from India also. A market in Middle East, we can find only Saudi Arabia getting onions from us. And this point we will talk about it later. Production of fresh onions from 206 to 2020, we can find we are about 3.2 million metric ton there. We were having the same in 2015 and declining in 2016. Then we get back in 2020. In Egypt, we have a problems with onions pricing. Egypt is one of the most expensive countries that exporting onions. From China, India are exporting more cheaper than us. This is time of coronavirus, 2019. We having the highest price per metric ton, 375.
What are the reasons of being expensive? What are the reasons of being an expensive?
We have a good quality, more than India and China. UK getting onions from us in times that China can't export in this time. China can export in another time.
My question is, due to the quality, is it a fair price or not a fair price?
Quality is a fair price.
So we cannot compare a low quality from Indian product with a good quality for Egyptian product. We need to compare apple with apple or orange with orange. So we cannot say it's expensive. It is a good quality, so the pricing is fair. It is not expensive.
But this price,
The
we cannot penetrate some countries in the Middle East. We can't penetrate this market like UAE, like Kuwait. They having good lifestyles. They can get good quality onions from Egypt, but what happens is not fair. They are getting onions from India.
This is the question. If the Indian product with the same quality to the Egyptian market,
No.
so we cannot compare.
But
So you are accepting it's low quality, they don't accept the good quality. This is their choice.
But we can talk about
they have the same news, doctor.
The same news, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
quality is different. This is what I'm saying. Maybe we have different types of onion, quality of onion.
The Egyptian onion is one of the best
Yeah.
qualities actually to be worldwide, but the Indian is not that far. It could be substituted because
The same?
it's more or less close to that. For sure, the Egyptian quality is the grade number one, but it's not that far away
Yeah.
from that.
Differences is not that
It's
much.
different direction.
But what are the reasons?
Different taste.
What are the
Exactly.
differences behind the increasing in prices? What are the main core factors that increase the prices of the production?
The cost of
It is
employee
mainly
and
the way that we are farming onions. It is not that advanced. We are not using mass farming technologies. We are
The
farming.
Indian are using a better one?
The Indian as farming on a larger scale. The Indian are sorry. The Indians are farming on a larger scale than Egypt. They are getting better of quality by quantity. We are not we have like a limited land. India is bigger than Egypt, have more fertilized land than Egypt. However, our quality is good, but we are not
Maybe the
massive.
capacity, mass production, do you mean that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are several factors also.
There is something else. We are
Doctor,
contributing
You're asking about
200,000.
the Egyptian onion prices? Yes, it's increased because there is an export ban happened in East Asian countries in 2019. So it increased the demand in the countries that were exporting importing the onion from India to shift it to the Egyptian onion. So that's why we increased the prices in 2020. Because in the onion production, the previous year affected the production of the following year by 46%.
But we can talk about pricing also. We can consider Corona times. There is increase in pricing in everything. Also in Egypt, we cultivating 200,000 hectare. We can't cultivate this the same land in the other years. We can't cultivate the same number in the other years.
And also, sorry, I forgot something. And also the raw material, the fertilizers prices increased.
Increase in price. There's something else we can talk about in 2022. Egyptian farmers and Egyptian companies that farming in onions, they have a lot of troubles. Number one, they have 75 tons. They can't export it. They can't export. Every farmer or every company, they lost for about 10,000 in every fat day. Due to in Egypt we can't export. We having troubles in exporting. We can't export the same number in previous year. We exporting in 2022 less than 2021. There is a big problems. Nowadays kilo onions is about 1 pound, 135 pound in Egypt. Previous year it was about 3 pounds. There is obstacles in farming. Two farmers, individual farmers, and two companies, big companies. We can talk about main suppliers. Everyone can plant onions. Everyone, from individuals to large companies. We can talk about some names in planting onions. There is Cairo Farm, PESTEL, Egyptra, Organic Green Companies, Giza Seeds and Herbs, Egypt Gardening. In Egypt, everyone can plant onions. We can say in Egypt it's a perfect competition. You can get onions from everywhere, but globally it's oligopoly. There's some countries like China, like India, like USA, like Egypt, like Netherlands. They are cultivating onions. We can talk about seasonality in Egypt. Almost every month we can get onions except February. The main season from March to May. In Egypt also we have for about 6 or 7 types of onion. The majority is red, is about 65 from cultivating onions in Egypt, and red getting Egypt famous our reputation, good reputation in the world with the red one. Something new in Egypt, we can talk about dry onions. Basim will get in details talking about it, but in Egypt we are number 3 in the world. We have exports for about 13.6 tons. Number 1 India and number 2 is the United States. Market share of onions, dry onions in the world. In Egypt we get 8.1 In 2019, we are exporting for about 3.08. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the supply part. First of all, Egypt ranked the third onion producer globally, with producing about 3 million tons per year, with 200,000 fiddens as a cultivating area. And this is Egypt, here in the third place. Okay, the domestic consumption represents 85% from the total production, which is mainly in the summer crop, which is from the summer crop. The exports represents 15% mainly from the winter crop, because it's better than the summer crops, because there is no there is no more diseases like in the soil, like in the summer time. That's why we're not using a lot of pesticides and chemicals like in the summertime. That's why we are exporting from the winter crop. Next. I'm going to start with factors affecting supply before the observation, because I want to clarify some points here to let you understand the observations. Factors affecting supply. The main factors affecting the supply, or based on a study, is 47% is the time factor, and the capital consumption from the previous year, the price and the quantity exported from the previous year, and the cultivated area also from the previous year. First, natural factors. It's the environmental and biological. The environmental factor, onion is photothermoperiodic product that is very sensitive to the daylight and the temperature, whether it's air temperature or soil. Onion plant needs to expose to daylight from 11 to 12 hours. Any change in this number of hours will cause a delay in the formation of the bulb. The temperature, any change in the temperature, specifically when the onion exposed to from 4 degrees Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius, it will cause the onion bulb to bolt. The biological, which will affect the productivity of the crop to be decreased. According to the biological factors, the most important one is allelopathy. The allelopathy is very harmful to the soil, which can inhibit the onion bulb to grow, which will decrease the productivity and can destroy the entire crop. Diseases such as the black mold, which is the most popular one. You know the black mold on the onion, did you see it before?
Yes.
Of course, all of us see it. This is very dangerous, and the onion that got infected with the black mold, they have to destroy it because of its danger. Moving to the economic factors such as seeds quality. As an answer for your question, if I understand it in the wrong way in the beginning, seeds quality. If we are using the Giza 6 or Giza 6 Muhassan or Giza Red as fertilizers, it caused a higher price for the onion, or it increased the price of our Egyptian onion, which will increase the exporting. Our supply of the onion product is divided into 2 parts: domestic consumption and exports. That's why I'm mentioning the economic factors that could affect the cultivated area for the following year. So it will affect our productivity. If you are using these seeds, that will encourage the other countries that import from us to buy more onions from Egypt, because it's high quality, and vice versa. If we're not using these seeds or this kind of seeds, they will not, that will not encourage them to buy it. Ability of substitutes to export. in 2019, there is two important incidents happened in 2019. In the beginning of 2019, Saudi Arabia stopped. Okay. In 2019, Saudi Arabia refused to receive the shipment of Egyptian onion because they found a percentage of pesticide residues more than the percentage that are authorized globally. So it's refused to receive it. After that, at the end of 2019, East Asian countries banned their exports. So they stopped to export their onions to the other countries, and they start importing onion from Egypt. So that was a good factor for Egypt, because the countries that were exporting onion from East Asian countries, they shift to the Egyptian onion. That will affect the following year cultivated area and productivity, because they signed the agreement in the year before. And I talked already about pesticide residues and Saudi Arabia. Price fluctuation, which does not affect the quantity supplied by high factor or by high difference, because the onion is inelastic product. In economics, normally price affects quantity supplied, but here our product is inelastic, so it will affect the quantity supplied, but with a little bit difference, not a huge difference. Can we see it? There is other factors that help the quantity supply to shift, whether increase or decrease. The price fluctuation could cause surplus or deficit that will help us to decide the cultivated area for the following year, or of the following year. Okay, first of all, here I will mention 2012. Here the quantity supplied increased from 2011. In 2011, there is an export ban happened in India because of the flood. So they stopped to export their onions to the other countries and import the onion from Egypt. And as I mentioned before, this cycle happened again in 2011 and in 2015. I'll mention it in this year. And the price increased from 523 to 623 by almost $100. Okay, the price increased because the post-revolution of 2011 that caused all the prices of all the products to be increased. And the Indian exports ban from 2011 that caused the increase in the quantity supplied. As I mentioned before, not only the price that affect the quantity supplied. In 2013, low air temperature and snowfall, which is an environmental factors, destroy the onion crops as it needs a specific temperature to grow. So it's decreased from, again, so it's 2012, please. So it's decreased from 2,383 to 2,084. 2014? Okay. The increase in fertilizers prices caused an increase in the price of the onion crop, or in the onion crop, by $50, which and also the decrease in price in 2013 caused a high in demand and decreased the quantity supplied for the following year, 2015. But it's not the main factor that affects the quantity supplied here. The quantity supplied in 2014 increased by a huge difference, which is approximately 700,000 tons, because of the India crisis causes by rain deficit. It's totally different from the other crises in India. That happened in 2014. It caused the delay in the onion crop, or on the onion formation, okay, of the bulb. So India started to import from Egypt, and the countries were importing from India start to export our Egyptian onions. That's why this quantity supplied in 2015 increased by approximately 700,000 in quantity. So what happened here in 2014 that affect the huge difference in the quantity supply, not the price. Next. Okay, in 2016 there is a lot of factors that affect the quantity supply to be decreased. The first thing that the Ministry of Agriculture decided to stop importing wheat from Russia. So they decided to increase the cultivated area of wheat in Egypt and decrease the cultivated area of onion, potatoes, and orange as well. Inflation, what happened in the inflation that happened in 2016 decreased the money value of the Egyptian pound against the dollar by 20 to 1. In terms of dollars, 2016 the price of the onion ton decreased, but in the Egyptian value it increased, but it's tripled. Because the price of the ton of the onion in 2015 was 3,300, and in 2016 was 9,300. So it tripled. And the lack of water due to the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. All these factors affect the quantity supplied of 2016. Elasticity of supply. From my perspective, onion is an elastic product because it's a necessary product. Doesn't have any substitute to the product. It has a lot of suppliers, so which make the onion, the Egyptian onion market to be perfect competition, which is very great to the consumer. So if any one of the suppliers raise the price, they can go and buy from another supplier, so it's okay. And in addition to the multi-uses of the onion, they use it in almost all their food recipes, and use it as a natural antibiotic. Why it's elastic in this year? I mentioned before in the observations. It's not the price that affects the supply quantity to be decreased or increased. It shows a little bit difference regarding to the price fluctuations. But the main factor that make these years like 2008, 2013, 14 and 15 to be elastic years is other factors, whether it's environmental factors or economic factors. So it's not regarding to the price. Moving to the demand part with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. Talking about demand, we will not talk about the demand of fresh onion, not to get confused or to get confused. I will be talking only about the demand and the product of the dried onion, and the market is the exportation worldwide from Egypt. So that's why I would like to take you through the process of production of dried onion. The dried onion is easier to use actually. Like when you chop the fresh onion, you get عينك بقى تحمر قدام tears. So that's why we some people they make it easier, or they feel it easier to use the dried onion. And for example, in the flavor industry, where I am coming from, we use the dried onion powder, the onion powders a lot in the flavor. It have a very strong flavor, and it shows it get the profile of the flavor in a very different way. So the process starts actually from the beginning, from the planting, where the guys and my colleagues were discussing, and they made it easy for me actually to explain, because it depends on the crop itself, the crop quality. The crop quality depends on three main things. The first thing is the taste of the flavor, and the Egyptian onion, one of the best or the better quality when it comes to taste and color, I would say. The two other challenges that we need to really look at, which is the microbiological level and the pesticide residuals, as Asant was talking. So when we get the good crop, everything in the process, in the manufacturing process, will be a bit easier. The process of the manufacture is not that complex, because it begins with the washing. They get the crop, they wash it once and twice, and then they put it in the sorting. They sort the onions itself as a fruit, maybe, or as a vegetable. Sorry, and in the sorting, there is a very important process, which is the metal detectors. It should go through metal detectors to make sure that there is no any foreign bodies from the metals or something that can harm the people or the user. Then we go to the cutting and dehydration. The cutting, they chop it in the way that the customer needs, slices, big slices, small slices, etc. And then it goes to the ovens. It depends on the moisture content that we need and the degree of the heat. The onion go through the oven and get the time needed, and after this process it goes to the final sorting. And in that sorting, it's automatic sorting, no human intervention here, because it's already have the needed microbiological level. So it goes in this sorting by size and by color sometimes. And the final step, it will be the storage, and it should be stored in a good conditions to not allow the enterobacteria and the microbiological to react again and to get higher with the time. So it should be temperature control and in a storage condition and perfect storage conditions. I will be here talking about the demand, especially for the dried onion, not the fresh onion. Egypt is the fourth in exporting after India, China, and United States. Exporting the dried onion, the processed dried onion, with 9.6%. And those are the countries that we normally import to. Germany, Netherlands comes in the beginning and the first, and they are all in Europe. If you can see the purple colors is representing Europe, and here is Asia Pacific. You'll find Japan as well, and is the biggest imported for us. Talking about the factors affecting demand. So the main three factors that I can say in the product that we have, it's the natural factor. Natural factor, actually, it's I mean the factors of the other countries, because we agree that there are 4 big countries that they are producing onions around the globe.
Demand or supply? So the natural factor affecting how the natural factors.
It is affecting the supply of India, and it's affect the demand in Egypt. So
never do it like that. We determine the supply as a production, but here we are searching for the factors going to affect the decision of the buyers, the decisions of the buyers. So the demand here is the buyers.
yes,
So it's not reflecting on our, because here you are talking about the specific demand and actual sales worldwide. So natural, it's not going to work. So what are the factors affecting me when I'm going to buy the onion in the market? So it's not natural.
for example, Europe. That's what
I understand that when the country one country face a problem, the other one face a good things. It's not like that. It's you are talking about a specific demand. The factors affecting the actual sales here.
Okay. So natural is this is one thing, and the other thing is the natural in Egypt. Actually, the natural in Egypt is the Passan said that it affects the pulp and it makes a very high quality product at the end of the day. So it makes Egyptian crop is a very high quality that will affect the demand for sure. Thank you for the comment. Regarding the political, from Egypt specifically, there are two things that are affecting the demand, which is maybe it will not be considered here the ban of export from India. It is affecting the demand on Egypt, and the importation ban, the same as mentioned, happened in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia or other countries, they ban the importation from Egypt. The demand is affected for sure. The third factor, which is the forex. When the forex, when the exchange rate changes and the Egyptian pound get lower value, it makes it more attractive for other countries because it will be less or cheaper for them, more value attractive for them to buy. Okay. The observations on the demand, we will start with 2011. I don't know if it will be with the demand or not actually, but what I can relate here, anything happen for the because it's, for me it's an oligopoly, because there are 4 players in the market. They are controlling the market. And
You are talking about the exported or dry onion? Yes. Your demand here is the exported demand onion.
yes.
So you are correct. So if your analysis on the exported demand onion, so your demand has been increasing due to the natural weathers. Yes, you're correct.
That's
But
what I-
yes, you're correct. But when you are relating different factors, this is not correct. But when you are mentioning to me, this is the dry onion that we are exporting, so the 3 factors are valid: the price, the currency,
Yes,
the
for the
natural-
demand, I'm just talking about the dry onion.
Yes, we were
exactly.
talking in supply about the fresh onion.
Yes,
In
but
demand
I
about the dry
thought
onion.
you were not clear. If you maybe write that it is the exported, not the domestically consumed. So there is a very big difference. You got my point?
I
So
just
this is why I
mentioned-
got confused.
I mentioned it in the first, but maybe it was not that clear.
Maybe I didn't focus on it. Thank you.
Thank you. So the main 4 players that are affecting they affect each other. When something happens in India or China, it's reflecting on our demand dramatically. For example, in 2010, there is a flood happened in India, and this was destroying most of the crop there, and that led to have an export ban. And actually, India is doing an export ban whenever the price of their onion gets higher, and that's why usually Japan, Egypt, and UK are asking India, in case you have anything related or you are planning to have an export ban, just let us know before so we can be prepared. But this is not the case because there is no cartel or there is no organization that is organizing the supply. But when as you can see here, the quantity increased from 14 to 21 between 2010 and 2011 because India had the ban of the export, and we had an increase in the supply from the previous year, as was mentioned by Passan. In 2012. This is the year post revolution. So the cost was very high at that time to produce and to fertilize the product and the onion, the raw material. That's why our cost went up and the quantities dropped. It's okay that the number is down. Okay, for the 2013, high supply and low price in India affected our quantities, and the quantities dropped from 13 to 9. In 2015, there was another ban in India, plus the Indian raw material prices went very, very high to the double, and the price of the dried onion in Indian dried onion was shooting high. That's why we had again a high peak in demand in Egyptian dried onions. And for us in 2016, there was a high price and low supply of our crops that led to having more quantities to offer with better prices. So in conclusion, when it comes to the elasticity, what you can find here, that the 10 observations I have are elastic. Why it's elastic? While onion, we just said that it's very important product and essential that no one cannot replace, but because the market have another competitors that they can offer better prices and quantities. And here you can see the supply and demand curve together, and the trends for the supply curve, which is goes up, and the demand curve, which is goes down with the prices.
Conclusion to our project, we can talk about Egypt. It's number one in the Middle East and Africa. In both production and exportation to fresh oil. We can open a new market in Africa. We can talk about Africa as our promising market in the future in Egypt. This transportation will be available very soon. We can export to Libya, to Tunisia, something easy. Through Sudan to South Africa, we can open new promising markets in Africa. We can take place instead of India, as I mentioned, in Dubai and Kuwait. We talked about it. India exporting for about 44 million, and for Kuwait is about 8.6 million. We should maintain reasonable supply and demand to get prices. When we will having good prices in Egypt, as the previous year, 1 kilo is 3 pounds. Every farmers, every company goes through cultivating more lands. But in the next years, we cannot export the same or the more we cultivate it. We have a problem. We can solve this problem by opening new markets. It is not difficult for us as a government. Okay.